Hi, we're just going to have a quick discussion about testing of drainage, waste, and venting systems. So in subsection 236 of the BC Plumbing Code, they talk about all the tests that may be required for a drainage or venting system. In almost every case, a water pressure test is going to be allocated to a drainage and venting system, except in freezing conditions. But for the most part, a water pressure test equal to approximately 5 psi is allocated to all joints. Air pressure tests can be done in climates where there are freezing conditions, but only if the manufacturer allows for an air test on their material. So in this illustration, we can see some of the different test balls, test adapters that can be used to plug the lower end of a drainage system. This larger one is for a Y fitting. Some of these are for test tees and different fittings that can be used, or different assemblies that can be used for the test. So these would go at the lower part of the system, and then the system would be filled with water to the upper portions of the venting system, or for sections of a system as required by subsection 236. Water pressure tests must be equivalent to 3 meters of head or 10 feet of head, which gives a static pressure of approximately 5 psi to the lower parts of the system. And the minimum duration of the test is 15 minutes. An air pressure test, if it is permitted by the manufacturer, which again, if you're using materials, if the installers use materials such as PVC piping, etc., most manufacturers will not permit an air test on those products, so you'd have to make sure that manufacturers specifically allows for an air test with their product. But when an air test is subjected to a drainage and venting system, it must be equal to 35 kPa, which again is very close to 5 psig, and the minimum duration is also 15 minutes. In some jurisdictions or in some installations, a final test may be asked for, and a final test is used to test the placement of the fixtures after the static rough-in pressure test. So once the toilets are installed and traps are filled with water, fixture traps are installed and those traps are also filled with water, a smoke test or final air test can be allocated to the system. It's only subjecting 1 inch of water column pressure to the system, because again we have traps that will displace no more than 1.5 inches. And we're looking for a 15-minute static pressure test maintaining 1 inch of water column without the addition of more air or smoke. This is sometimes done to test the connections that are made after a static pressure test, or sometimes in certain situations where a building may be under occupancy and only a certain portion of the system can be tested at that time. So not asked for on every job, but certainly could be specified on certain jobs. Ball tests can be used sometimes for underground replacement installations, trenchless installations, for example, or any time that piping may not be accessible for some specific reason. The code article 2367 specifies the minimum size of balls that are used for ball tests, and basically the ball is placed into the pipe at the upstream end, and the hope is that it comes out the other end as long as there's constant grade and slope.